Markets worldwide continue to react to some bad economic news here in the U.S. The Dow sank more than 1,000 points today. The global decline stems from Friday's U.S. jobs report, which showed hiring slowing more than expected and the unemployment rate jumping to 4.3%. Consumer spending drives the economy, and there are also signs that Americans are dialing back after McDonald's and Starbucks reported slowing sales. That fear has many Wall Street traders looking to sell, but experts say that the average person should not overreact.
If you are a long-term investor, take a deep breath. It is very scary, I get it. But if you're investing for decades in the future, even if you're 60 years old, you stay still, you do nothing. You try to maintain your game plan.
The market unrest has many experts questioning why the Federal Reserve did not cut interest rates at last week's meeting, which could have given the economy a boost. Analysts now expect a significant cut at the next meeting in September.